It's time once again for another thrilling episode of Markout Radio. For the next hour, sit back, pull the stick out of your ass, and enjoy. Be warned though, smarks and internet know-it-alls will be offended, annoyed, and generally pissed off at what's about to happen to your ear holes. You've been warned. Now, Markout Radio.
Holy shit, I'm running late today. Sorry, guys. My bad. Everything decided to have a fucking clusterfuck all at the same time. Awesome, hey? Nah, whatever. Not always perfect. Shit happens. What can I tell you? Sucks to be us. Let's move on to the show, shall we? Jesus. All right. Welcome back to Markout Radio Goes Nitro. This is your boy Dark Fox. This is episode 72 for January 27th, 1997. Oh, good God. Ridiculous. Oh, there we go. That worked. Right on. All right, this is out of the Veterans Memorial Auditorium in Des Moines, Iowa. But listen, before we get into everything else that fucking goes on, Jesus. This is part of the reason why this thing is late this week. My apologies again. Fuck. Over and over again, I'm having us have the same fucking fights. All right, now, go follow our Twitch stream. If you're watching on the Twitch stream, click that little fucking heart thing. You don't have to set yourself up to receive a notification I'm online, although that would be fucking cool. And you can show up and chat and distract me from the show even farther than I already am this week. But let's get the show to the affiliate level, shall we? We need a few more followers to get there so that I can stop pandering to YouTube, where they let the WWE fucking abuse their copyright system by hitting me with copyright monetization strikes every week for playing 3 seconds of the fucking American Male song. Don't do it now. See, no. Fuck. Aided, by the way, by my producer, who is effectively trying to shoot me in the foot as we go. It's okay. I actually don't mind because it's making a point for me. All right, so if you're watching this on YouTube, go over to Twitch, twitch.com or twitch.tv/markoutradio, and follow us there because, listen, I have no control over what the YouTube decides they're going to edit without my permission. Here, I thought that when you publish and upload something that you own the copyright to that, and then YouTube goes ahead and cuts it up for you, which is super awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, Jesus. What? No, seriously, fuck YouTube. Honestly, we got 4 viewers there. The Twitch stream and the podcast get way more fucking action. Why am I having to deal with YouTube? I don't have to babysit Anchor, who hosts our podcast platform. I don't have to babysit Amazon and Twitch, who host the fucking stream. But I have to sit there and coddle the fucking lone video source that results in like 4 to 5 views a week. I'm sorry if you're watching this on YouTube, but honestly, go over to fucking Twitch and watch it there because frankly, it gets unedited and it's much more entertaining to listen to me live where you can interact. Like I said, we do the live version of Twitch at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sundays, usually. Sorry. Drop by chat, hang out, catch it on the live version of the show, catch it on replay on Twitch because it's going to be unedited. Let's be honest, I'm an attention horse. I'm probably going to still upload the shit to YouTube, but if it gets pulled or if it gets edited, there's nothing I can do about it. Apparently, YouTube doesn't understand how the FCC's fair use policy works, whereas apparently Twitch and Anchor do. Their whole business model is predicated on recycling other people's content. The fuck are they even doing over there? Now, Jesus. All right, just fucking stop twitching out and losing your shit. Put me in a better mood because I actually enjoy being on Twitch and Anchor. Let's get back to the actual show, shall we please? Even though it's fucking late. Listen, before we get into Nitro this week, let's do a quick recap of the first ever NWO pay-per-view sold out. The banner for the pay-per-view still has the Giant as part of the NWO, and the first scene is Hall, Nash, Six, and Eric riding on the back of a fleet of garbage trucks with NWO flags on them. And I have to ask, what was the point of that? Honestly, were garbage trucks so cool in 1997 that I wasn't aware of it as a high school senior? It's possible. Maybe it's an Iowa thing. It's just fucking weird. Why are you on the back of a garbage truck? And don't get me wrong, Hogan in a limo, that makes sense. An ambulance? Sure, someone's going to get hurt here. I get that. But what the fuck is a garbage truck for? And there's a fleet of them. Everyone had their own garbage truck to fucking ride. And everyone seems so fucking excited about it. Anyways, the first vignette after the garbage truck bullshit was actually pretty awesome. It's basically Eric shooting like a total propaganda video, which totally suits the NWO thing. It totally suits Eric as a human being, however he qualifies under that title, but it was fantastic. Now, the pay-per-view itself took place January 25th, 1997, out of the U.S. Cellular Center in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It was a sellout crowd of 5,120 people. Now, the venue has a seating capacity of 8,600 for concerts, which let's take 1,000 seats away from that for the ring. And it's still not a sellout. However, with all of WCW's production gear and that enormous goddamn set, it probably legit was a sellout. Did you see? Go back and look at the set for the 1997 Sold Out. Wow. Jesus Christ. It occupies half of the arena. Anyways, it also had 120,000 pay-per-view buys. It was the smallest, it's the smallest pay-per-view audience they're going to get all year. It's not the smallest pay-per-view WCW has ever put on since our start of the Nitro coverage, but it is tied for fourth with 3 other fucking shows. Now, I will definitely be fair here and say that Starrcade, which is their version of WrestleMania in 1995, had like 85,000 or some shit. So it's definitely not the worst, but far from the best. And here's the thing. This was supposed to be a pay-per-view that Eric promised Ted Turner could replace Clash of the Champions. Now, there were 2 to 3 clashes per year, and one pay-per-view wasn't going to offset that. So somehow, Eric politicked his way into canceling the Clash of the Champions and adding this and Road/Hog Wild. Anyways, the gate for this first sold out was $68,209 with $38,000 in merch, which, if you're keeping score at home, kids, that performed $20,000 worse than Clash of the Champions, the pay-per-view Eric's trying to axe. The commercials could sell for the Clash would have offset the pay-per-view buys easily at this point. So don't even try and make excuses for Bischoff's ego. He didn't like a free pay-per-view, despite it historically making both gate money and ad revenue and drawing large audiences and fans to your product. But Jesus, you'd think that a marketing guy would be more aware of the bottom line. Still, there are already signs over the last few weeks that the inmates are currently running the goddamn asylum. So forget Ration and Reason. Let's just strap in for a wild ride. We all know it doesn't last very long. If that's news to you, sorry. Which just, fuck's sakes.
You will respect my authority.
There are a few decent pieces of kayfabe production and some others that were not so much. I mean, the announcer, the New World Order guy, the announcer in the background was fucking gold. The entrance music, that being the lack thereof for the WCW wrestlers, awesome idea. Just fucking gold. The ring mat and the lighting that really gave the full arena the gravitas of having a large pay-per-view, awesome. The ugly biker broads at ringside that Eric and Ted DiBiase seemed to find attractive was odd. There was one chick who was actually attractive out of all of the people there. And I'm not sure if I think there might have been 2 that were under the age of 40. Now, WCW wrestlers showing up in the crowd was also a good spot. Eric's passive-aggressive slams on the WWF was also a good spot. I noticed that Ted DiBiase didn't bother doing them because probably he hoped to work there again someday. Eric renaming the Enziguri as a jumping back leg round kick because he's an expert in karate. The boom cams at ringside would have been great if they had monitors on so that the handlers could see if they were actually shooting the action or not. And, if the camera's quality wasn't absolute fucking garbage. They did manage to kind of figure out how to use them by the time the Buff Bagwell Scotty Riggs match came around. But for a lot of it, it was just used for like uncomfortably close profile shots. Like Scott Hall lying in the middle of the ring. Just an image that just pops into my head because it's just so fucking cringe. There is a boom camera literally millimeters away from Scott Hall's face and chest after he's laying in the middle of the ring after losing the match for his team. But no one cut to that image. Why? Probably because it would have been an image literally of chest hairs, like individual ones, because that camera is not designed for what you're shooting. It's designed for fisheye. It's designed to just sort of catch the most shit in the smallest area of space. It is not designed like a camera at ringside to catch action going on in a box. But fuck ever. The dancing girls on set, I mean, at first there were two of them. They were being used behind the screens with multiple spotlights to make it look like there was more of them, except that they were oddly in keeping with one another's dance steps. But then eventually there were three on each side because they got some of the contestants to go up there to shake their asses. Only problem there is they forgot to tell them to take the numbers off of their chaps. So these weren't 6 additional broads that were dancing on the stage. These were 6 of the 10 contestants that were now dancing on the stage. And up like at the second elevated area, whatever. Speaking of the fucking Miss NWO contest, what an absolute fucking clusterfuck. It was a bomb from start to end. And I think they realized it was a bomb after the fucking interview guy's first segment. Now, there was a picture montage of the women who didn't make the grade just before starting the actual beauty contest interviews. Some of them were cute-ish if you'd put some makeup and get the lighting just right. There was some structure there that you could have worked with, but I think at the end of the day, they settled on trying to get biker chicks because Eric, being the totally cool guy that he continues to be to this day and not a gigantic fucking numbers nerd that he actually is, wants to really put over the fact that he likes motorcycles. And so we're going to get a bunch of biker broads out here. Now, there was one girl that was in this beauty contest that very clearly did not show up with chaps. She showed up with a tight t-shirt, which was tight for the 90s, not tight by today's standards. And she was cute. She had very, very curly hair, but how do I put this delicately? There was very little, okay. The winner of the contest, had a lot of curves. What? She did. Are you telling me she didn't? Did you see the broad that they gave the title to? Okay, then. So the girl that was actually the most attractive out of all of them had not a lot of curves. The second runner-up for the cute girl also didn't have a whole lot of curves. And by the way, had a fantastic 90s haircut. The fucking bangs with the oh, whew. In the 90s, I would have totally gone for that. But there also was a biker girl that legit looked like a biker girl because she had on a leather vest that barely covered her implants, which were excellent, by the way. And the announcer guy, what did he? Oh, yes, that's right. The announcer guy called them, or the interview guy called them flotation devices, which was so edgy. Anyways, speaking of the interview guy, some random comic book nerd like Eric who puts on a leather jacket so that he can be cool and then interviews contestants who weren't dirty biker girls. They were just dressed like dirty biker girls. Jeff Katz was this guy. He is a comic book writer and a film producer. Anyways, oh, Jesus Christ. It's such a fucking train wreck. All right. He asks what body part of one of these girls that would help her win this contest. And this lady, by the way, looked like a grandmother. No joke. Go back and look at it. Please tell me I'm fucking wrong. All right. Now, she says the body part that would most help her win the Miss NWO contest is her feet. Jesus Christ. These days, things like this would probably get you canceled pretty quick because the mob has become fickle and the plebs are now in control. Anyways, the best and worst answer by far was contestant number 10, who, when asked what she would do to make Masahiro Chono's visit to the U.S. better, she replied, and I quote, "Anything he wants as long as it's with chopsticks." Holy fuck. even in the 90s, I feel like somebody would have been like, damn! All right, so the winner of this clusterfuck was the fattest broad there who had glasses that were older than Eric's entire fucking production team. And then Eric made out with her. No. See, because I feel like the N-bomb would get us kicked off of Twitter. Don't do that. Give Eric another sound clip that maybe better encompasses him making out with the fattest and ugliest fucking broad to ever win a Miss contest ever. Oh, Jesus. Thank you. Oh, my God. Jesus. Now, in the wrap up to this, Eric is sitting on the boxes with Ted DiBiase, waxing philosophical how she is beautiful on the inside. Jesus Christ. Because that's what the NW is all about. What is on the inside? Is it really that hard in the 90s to find some random whores who were under the age of 50 to parade around half naked on television in the 90s? Come on, man. It's got to be easier than this. You're in television, for God's sakes. All right, so a recap of the matches themselves. Masahiro Chono, the end I'm still playing this in the background, huh? Thank you. Okay, can you kill that before WWE gets his fucking banned off of Twitch too? All right. Masahiro Chono of the NWO defeats Chris Jericho of WCW 11 minutes, 8 seconds. I gave it 3.5 out of 5. There's really nothing that really stuck out to me here. Big Bubba Rogers of the NWO defeats Hugh Morrus of WCW with Jimmy Hart in his corner via countout in a Mexican death match with no Mexicans in the match. Jesus. 9 minutes, 3 seconds. Conan apparently couldn't get out of a AAA commitment as he's the champion. This was originally booked as Bubba Conan, which would have made sense. They could have fixed it, by the way, had they just called it like an Iowa death match or just a plain old-fashioned death match. And no wrestling fan at the time would have noticed or fucking cared. Maybe nowadays, you see some people on Twitter and Reddit going, what happened to the Mexican death match? A card subject to change. Sorry. Jesus fuck. 2 out of 5. Get out of here. Jeff Jarrett from WCW defeats Michael Wall Street from the NWO. 9 minutes, 22 seconds. I gave that 3 out of 5. By the way, props to whoever had edited and managed to keep the edit in place of the NWO Sold Out 1997 Wikipedia page, because this match on their website is listed as Jeff Jarrett defeating Beetlejuice in 9 minutes, 22 seconds. That I probably also would have given 9 minutes. I would have given 3 out of 5. Buff Bagwell of the NWO defeats Scotty Riggs of WCW. Riggs announced as the American Males number 2. If your intro wasn't so long, it wouldn't play so long, WWE. I mean, Jimmy Hart should have known that when he fucking did it, right? Right? Anyways. He is announced as American Males number 2, the loser of the bunch. And during this match, the announcer would say loser a few more times over the air. This became sort of a common thread throughout the night, which was so good. American males, American males. The match itself was actually very good as well. 13 minutes, 51 seconds they were given. I gave it 3.5 out of 5. It was a decently performed match. A good match as the quote-unquote blow-off to the American Males as a tag team. They will fight against each other once in a while from this point forward, but this is supposed to be the official blow-off. Scott Norton of the NWO defeats Diamond Dallas Page of WCW via countout. DDP basically gets called a loser over and over again on the PA system, which again was awesome. It's in keeping with the fucking theme of the pay-per-view, and I'm all about that. If you're staying on topic, I'm a fan of it, even if it sort of doesn't hit the fucking road like the Miss NWO shit. Like at least it was part of the pay-per-view, right? Like they didn't throw to having Liz go out there as the ringer, which by the way, had they had Liz go out there as the ringer and win the Miss NWO contest, that would have been hilarious. Why didn't you do that? What the fuck? Anyways, as the match ends or goes towards the end, the NWO comes out to again offer Paige a spot in the group. Same thing happens, of course. Paige fucking gives Scott Norton the DD or the Diamond Cutter. Sorry, I keep calling it the Stunner, and it's not the Stunner. It's not even the RKO. It's the fucking Diamond Cutter, and I keep fucking that up. My bad. Eric channels his inner George Bush and fucks up the "Fool Me" quote, which, by the way, I know that I've got a lot of American fans in the audience, and I appreciate you guys. You've got to understand that George Bush was functionally retarded, and the actual quote for "Fool Me," which consistently gets misquoted, and I'm just not sure if it's being done as a troll, if it's being done as a goof, or if it's just because you had a fucking knuckle dragging Neanderthal as your president for a while, and you think that it's supposed to be you're not going to get fooled again. The actual fucking quote is, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." Do you understand why? Because if you fool me, then you're a liar. If you fool me again, then I'm an idiot for believing you. Do you understand now? You're welcome. This has been lessons in how to fucking think with your buddy Dark Fox.
All right.
Anyways, the match itself was 9 minutes, 39 seconds long. 3.5 out of 5 is another gooder. Steiner Brothers, representing WCW, Rick and Scott Steiner, of course, defeat the Outsiders, representing the NWO, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, for the title. Now, the announcer really comes into his own here with the two dog-faced losers from Michigan line as they're coming down to the ring. I was actually a little bit confused, and maybe you are too, listening to the result that I'm reading out loud. Because when I'm reading the rundown, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Did they win the titles? Because I thought the fucking Outsiders held on to them for a long time. So but here it is. How this match ended, and I'm not going to spoil it for you because it's fucking gold. And even if you don't go back and watch the whole pay-per-view, you at least owe it to yourself to go back and watch this fucking match, because the way this thing ends is gold, and it gets one hell of a pop from the audience, who are allegedly NWO fans only, according to Eric. Which again is in keeping with kayfabe. I'm fine with that part. I just want to throw it out there because you know I love throwing him under the bus. 14 minutes, 43 seconds for this one. 4.5 out of 5. No joke. It was a very, very good match. After this, Eddie Guerrero, defending WCW's honor as the United States official champion, defeats Six, who is the pretender United States champion representing the NWO. It was a ladder match for the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship title. The announcer hits a new high/low with, as he's announcing, Eddie Guerrero says, and I'm going to quote this again because I feel like this is grounds for me being canceled, but fuck it. The announcer announces Eddie Guerrero as, "This is the American jumping bean, Eddie Guerrero, loser." Jesus. I mean, goddamn, man. Even by 90s standards, that was also a little bit fucked up. Six comes out wearing the U.S. title and being proclaimed as a swinger by the announce guy. Eric starts whining at this point about the fucking pay-per-view because I think he's starting to get numbers of the buys, and he's seeing how bad the Miss NWO contest is bombing, and he's seeing how bad some of the shit is bombed on the show. So he starts whining like a bitch that this is a new organization and they're gonna have some growing pains. Jesus Christ. Post-match, Eddie tells Eric to kiss his ass, and then he heads out to the crowd where the WCW wrestlers are gathered to celebrate his win amongst his people. In 13 minutes, 48 seconds, I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 as well. The main event is Hollywood Hogan, representing the NWO as the champion of WCW, fought the Giant, representing WCW, to a no contest, sort of. The WCW World Heavyweight Championship, you can hear during this match that Sherry is cheering on for Paul from the crowd, which I thought was funny and yet somehow breaking kayfabe, which is not normally what Sherry does. The loaded, worked balsa wood guitar that had talcum powder inside for Hogan to bash on the Giant was a nice touch. However, he didn't actually hit him hard enough to make it blow up. So he had to hit him a few times. And by the time he hit him a few times, the talcum powder had settled. And so it didn't give the Well, it didn't give the explosion that you want to have. Like, okay, so if you watch hardcore wrestling and you see, especially when you see fluorescent light bulb matches, and so what they do in those, just to pull back the curtain a little bit and break the fourth wall, what they do is they take that little metal cap and they take a glass cutter and they very carefully cut around that metal cap. Or if they're lucky, they get a shitty, cheap piece of fluorescent lighting that has burnt out, that the cap just sort of almost pops off at this point. What they then do is they take a funnel and they dump baby powder, talcum powder inside it, and they get it inside the light tube, and then they put the cap back on and they put clear packing tape on it so that it looks normal on a camera. And when a wrestler grabs it, they usually grab it by that end, by the taped end. Now, what they do with the light is they shake it back and forth, try to get the talcum powder to totally coat the inside of the light tube, because they will generate some static electricity. So it will sort of cling to the inside of the light tube. And then when you go to bash your opponent with it, poof, it blows up and it looks really cool, especially when you've got like about 8 of them duct taped together. CZW did some shit with one of my former employers where we did some play-by-play for it. And don't get me wrong, I popped for it then, just like I would pop for it now. Why? Because yeah, it's a dangerous spot, but it's a worked dangerous spot that looks amazing and gets a hell of a reaction out of the crowd. Now, overall, Sold Out was an excellent show from a wrestling standpoint. The Miss NWO contest was a gross mess of sloppy old biker mamas and an interviewer that should have spent some time with the girls, getting them on the same page. He was looking for some R-rated edgy shit, and he got mom answers. They could have gotten women who were hot and dressed them in chaps. They literally could have gone to the local Hooters and paid some girls $20 a fucking head to show up in tight t-shirts and put chaps on them, and it would have been better. And they didn't need to be fucking sweat hogs. Jesus, if you don't know what that is, just fucking Google it. The tag match was amazing. Just fucking amazing. Now, the pay-per-view itself, I gave a 4 out of 5 because it was, as far as wrestling goes, fantastic. There were some production fuck-ups. There was Eric bitching like a fucking woman about how it wasn't as big as he wanted it to be or whatever, and that it's a growing pain or whatever. And by the way, that'll continue on to Nitro. So that's going to be awesome. Now, speaking of that, let's get into some Nitro. And listen, I've been ranting like a fucking lunatic for the last 25 fucking minutes. Give me a second. Here comes the Nitro theme for you. And you're going to cut to the goddamn deal that we have at the start of the show one more time as we break into Nitro. All right, you ready? All right, you ready? You ready? All right. Whew, all right. Jesus, that's much better. All right. So let's actually start episode 72, shall we? And talk about Nitro? This is the 33rd ratings war win in a row for Nitro with a 3.6 to Raw's 2.2. Now, again, why didn't the WCW get a Monday night bump after the Sold Out pay-per-view? They dropped, in fact. And they'll drop again next week, which you're going to see why. Could it be that fans aren't actually digging the NWO the way a lot of us remember? Like, I do know that nostalgia has a little bit of rose-colored glasses veneer to it at times. I remember this being cooler. I remember more of my friends watching this than the WWF. I don't understand why the ratings don't show it yet. Maybe it's early. Maybe I'm romanticizing it like so many of us do with things that we like from our youth, right? And the NWO is arguably cool. Arguably. Even though we've covered numerous times how they're fucking cringe by selling shit just as flagrantly as WCW does. Anyways, we're pretty early in this deal. Wrestling fans are moving towards being heels themselves, so it does start to come around in August of this year because the audience smartens up a little bit more, and not due to Eric, no matter what the fuck he says. The audience is changing. They want more edgy content, and they are more willing to watch Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and what'll become the rest of the sort of the Wolfpack almost being edgier than the regular black and white. the seeds of that start to be laid towards August here. Now the show kicks off the NWO in the announce position and Eric calling out Randy Anderson, who last night came out of the crowd to count the pin in the Steiners Outsiders match. Now Eric, much to my annoyance, plays this in total kayfabe heel territory. He strips the Steiners of the titles, claiming that Randy Pee-wee Anderson took a bribe. So after firing or threatening to fire Anderson, he calls out the Steiners to embarrass them publicly on national television. Again, heel boss props here, and then has them go fight the Faces of Fear in the ring. Now, that leads into the actual match. Now, so far, we're good. Unfortunately, it's the booking this week that sucks. The production's okay. There's some promos and stuff I'm going to gloss over because I'm really getting sick and tired of fucking Deborah McMichael's voice. So, the Steiners defeat the Faces of Fear. I gave it 3 out of 5. It's an okay match. It doesn't look like the wrestlers were on the same page. Megan Barbarian didn't really appear to even try to pull off their Fear Driver move. They just dropped Steiner and called it a day. This was allegedly for the number 1 contendership for the tag titles, but the Outsiders have a title match later on tonight against some jobbers. So is it? Is it really? I mean, even by Eric's standards, this doesn't make a lot of sense. The Giant defeats Roadblock in, I don't know how long, but it gets a
0.0
job match number 1 of the night. Look, a Mad Giant. Ooh, we haven't seen this ever before for the last 6-7 weeks. Tony tells us that he has a copy of the tape to prove that Piper won at Starrcade. No one cares because we all know that already. The whole thing with Eric lying about it is just, that's a heel boss thing. No one in the audience, even NWO fans, cares or believes it. It's stupid. And the fact that it's gone on for like a month is just, holy fuck, it's ridiculous. It's a shit gimmick. It was a shit spot. It didn't work then. It didn't work in the weeks going from there, and it's not working now. Kevin Sullivan, stop fucking trying to make this work. Stop trying to make fetch happen, all right? Jeff Jarrett defeats Eddie Guerrero after this via disqualification in a WCW United States Championship match. 2 out of 5. Did this match even happen? I was in and out of the ring so fast I thought my head was spinning. Anyways, Mongo and Deborah were involved. That was fun. Don't worry, she's going to get her hands on a microphone later, and I'm not going to fucking talk about it anymore. God damn, her fucking voice. Just, ugh. Ultimo Dragon defeats Billy Pearl. I gave this one 2.5 out of 5. Just jobber match number 2. Fuck off, wrestling fans. Nothing to see here. Lex Luger defeats Ron Powers. 2 out of 5. Job match again for a guy that wasn't even on the pay-per-view last night. So there's no reason to have a rest match here. Fuck you, wrestling fans. If you didn't pay for Sold Out, you don't get a good show tonight. Eric mad. Arn Anderson and Steve McMichael defeat the Amazing French Canadians. I gave that 3.5 out of 5. This was officially Arn's last wrestling match. I'm sure given the state of the book, he's thrilled about that. He's going to go on to be a road agent, which means that when wrestlers go out, he helps them get on the same page. After their match, he gives them notes. He's going to have almost nothing to do with booking, which is unfortunate because, let's be honest, the booking committee needs some fucking help. He's actually been struggling with some numbness in his arms and legs for the last couple of months and would eventually get surgery on his back that would actually help. There was, it wasn't a stinger exactly, but there were some pinched nerves in his spine and it was actually causing numbness. Like if you watch some Arn matches, you go back and watch Arn matches from a few weeks ago, you'll start to see him do, like, he'll flex his hand a couple times and do that. And it's like he can't feel his fingertips. He's trying to remind himself where they are. And I mean, it's fucking scary shit because if it goes on too long, in the hands, bad, but in the feet and legs, worse, because you can become paralyzed from having a stinger. It's some scary shit. So he finally gets talked into booking a surgery. He's going to get surgery in a couple more weeks. That's going to help with the pain and with the numbness, thank God. But it's going to make him totally unable to wrestle ever again outside of spot shows. Like, he will do like some little spots here and there. But as far as wrestling matches themselves, they're pretty much over. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have the Arn Anderson retirement speech in the ring, which as a wrestling fan really hit me in the feels. As a fan of Arn Anderson, the wrestler and the man, really hit me in the feels nowadays when I look back on it after having talked to him a few times. But I will say this. I know that he was not thrilled with Kevin Nash's portrayal of him later. But also as a wrestling fan, that was fucking gold. Nobody likes being made fun of. Nobody does. And objectively, like when you look back on it, you're like, it's like that wrestler that gets thrown out of the wrestle out. It's still real to me, damn it. There's a little aspect of that to it, right? Like when you've got a lot of respect for a guy and then somebody goes out there and does something, even though the guy they're making fun of is green lit the promo, after he goes out there and sees what he actually does and say, well, I didn't agree to that. Well, yeah, you didn't agree to that because it's fucking embarrassing. But I mean, it is what it is, man. It's still a show. It's still fucked up. It's still entertainment, right? So you got to remember that it was a shoot on Arn Anderson, the wrestler, not Anderson, the human being, despite some of the shots taken by Kevin Nash, because let's be honest, Kevin Nash isn't really a big fan of kayfabe in the first place. Now, this match ended the way all Canadians match ends in these days, with shenanigans, which is how we like them. But that's why it gets a 3.5 out of 5. It was a good match, well wrestled. I fucking hate Mongo, and Debra's annoying as shit, but the Canadians are fantastic. The fact that Carl Ouellette's still around just blows my mind. After this, the Outsiders, as the champions, defeat the Extreme, Ace Darling and Devon Storm, to retain the WCW World Tag Team Championship belts. 2 out of 5. Job match number 4. Just fuck you, wrestling fans. This is what we think of you for not supporting Full Sold Out more, even though we mailed that one into fuck you, fans. We don't like you. Go screw yourself. By the way, the Extreme are legit because they dress to impress. After this, Kevin Sullivan defeats Joe Gomez.
0.0.
Job match number 5. This time, it's a big fuck you from Kevin Sullivan too, who buries Eric's boy Joe Gomez that Kevin Sullivan apparently didn't want in the company anyways because, and I quote, he's fat. Yeah. Kevin Sullivan said that about somebody else. Fucking gold that only a wrestler could come up with. After this, Dean Malenko defeats Jerry Flynn. No, not Jerry Lynn. Jerry Flynn. That tall, lanky motherfucker with the fucking mullet. To retain the WCW World Cruiserweight Championship. I gave that 2 out of 5. Who's Jerry Flynn? Exactly. Flynn gets his own high spot in this match by running headlong into the top turnbuckle. What a fucking champ. After this, Hugh Morrus defeats Chris Benoit. I gave that one 4 out of 5. Arguably, match of the night. Not that it had a lot of competition, let's be honest, but a good match, even if it was on a card of actual wrestling. A mystery woman that looks a lot like Jacqueline comes out, but I need to do some digging here because her hair was over her face quite a bit. The body's right, like it looks like Jackie, but I'm not 100% sold on it yet. I gotta do some digging because I've been finding sources that say yes, and I've been finding sources that say no. One of the sources that I found that said no accused anyone who thinks that it is Jackie of racism because they're saying that all black women look alike, which is not true. Her hair was covering her face. The body looks right. I don't give a fuck, but whatever. Fuck brand people racist who can't tell the difference between two fucking people with their faces covered. But anyways, this is Sullivan's new lady friend, and she's going to keep the heat going on the fizzling Benoit Sullivan feud by bringing in a catfight angle with Nancy. I'm not against it. Like I said, the feud has been fizzling, and the feud has been fizzling only because it's becoming less of a shoot and more of a work, which is apparently not what the fans are wanting to see. They're wanting to see two guys literally beating the piss out of each other, even though they're Southern wrestling fans who understand that it's supposed to be a work. So, fuck, whatever, man. The Giant defeats Hulk Hogan in the match after that, the main event, that is, via disqualification in a heavyweight championship match. I gave that 3 out of 5. Yet another shot at the champ for the Giant. This time, though, Eric is getting physically involved because of course he is. At least it wasn't with a whole bunch of karate. Luger saves the day. Show goes to black. What a fucking train wreck of a Nitro. Honestly, it does feel like Eric is mad that wrestling fans aren't more on board with his heel faction and their heel pay-per-view, and is just having a pissing match backstage during the booking meeting earlier today. The Sullivan Benoit stuff is looking more and more like a work. That's good for me because fuck, the shoot shit makes me super uncomfortable, and probably mostly because of what happens with the Benoit family. Adding a new woman to the mix is an interesting swerve, so I'll give him that. Still, it is the worst Nitro in months. 2 out of 5. What the fuck? Again, though, I started off the show with it last week. This week I started off ranting like a fucking lunatic after being late. But I want to give another shout out to the Canadian Wrestling Network for having us on board. Check out the CanadianWrestlingNetwork.ca as their website for all their social media links to all of the podcasts, Twitch streamers, and YouTubers that they have that I believe are all Canadian in origin. And listen, it's fantastic, even if you are not a Canadian.
Well, that was an abortion of a show. Should the mood take you, check out markoutradio.com and leave a comment. You can also find links there to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Stitcher channels. You can even leave a voicemail on our Skype. Just click the links and share them.